Have you ever wondered why the price of your favorite coffee seems to increase every year? You might recall that a few years back, your daily cup of joe cost you a couple of bucks less than it does today. This isn't because the coffee beans are becoming more precious or because your barista decided to buy a new fancy espresso machine. The reason is far more widespread and affects more than just your caffeine fix. It's a phenomenon that impacts everything from the cost of your groceries to the price of your home. It's like an invisible force, subtly yet persistently nudging the numbers on price tags upwards year after year. It's something you might not notice immediately, but over time, its effects are undeniable. It's as if your money is slowly losing its buying power. What you are experiencing is something economists call inflation. Inflation, in simple terms, is the rate at which the general level of prices for goods and services is rising. It's a concept that might seem a little abstract, but it's actually something that impacts our everyday lives. So, what causes inflation? There are several factors, but let's focus on two primary ones: increased production costs and increased demand for goods and services. First, consider increased production costs. This happens when the cost of producing goods and services rises. For instance, if the price of raw materials like steel or cotton goes up, manufacturers may have to increase the price of their products to maintain their profit margins. This, in turn, can cause inflation. Next, let's look at increased demand. Imagine a scenario where everyone suddenly wants to buy the same type of car. The manufacturer can't keep up with the demand, and as a result, the price of that car goes up. This is a simple example, but it illustrates how increased demand for a product or service can lead to inflation. Now you might be thinking, surely inflation is a bad thing, right? Well, not necessarily. In fact, a moderate level of inflation can actually stimulate economic growth. Here's why. When people expect prices to rise in the future, they're likely to spend more now. This increased spending can boost the economy, leading to more production and potentially more jobs. However, this isn't to say that inflation is always beneficial. Like most things in life, balance is key. A moderate level of inflation can be a sign of a healthy, growing economy. But when inflation gets too high, it can start to have a negative impact on individuals and the economy. For individuals, high inflation can erode purchasing power, making it harder to buy goods and services. For the economy, it can create uncertainty and potentially lead to economic instability. So, while inflation can have some positive effects, it's crucial to keep it in check. Too much of a good thing can indeed be bad, and inflation is no exception. So, what are the hidden consequences of inflation? Let's delve right into it. One of the most profound yet unseen impacts of inflation is the reduced purchasing power. Imagine you've been saving for that dream vacation to Paris. You've calculated the cost down to the last penny. But when the time comes to book your trip, you realize that the cost of everything, from your flight tickets to that croissant by the Seine, has gone up. Your saved money now buys less than what it could have a year ago. That's reduced purchasing power in action, a stealthy thief in the night, quietly eroding the value of your hard-earned money. Then there's uncertainty. When inflation rates fluctuate unpredictably, it creates an environment of uncertainty. Businesses find it harder to plan for the future, to invest in new projects, or to hire new employees. It's like trying to hit a moving target in the dark. You might get lucky once or twice, but it's not a sustainable strategy. Thirdly, inflation can lead to income redistribution. This may sound complex, but it's quite simple. Consider two friends, Alex and Jordan. Alex has a fixed income, while Jordan's income rises with inflation. As prices increase, Jordan can still afford his usual lifestyle, but Alex starts struggling. So, in essence, inflation can inadvertently shuffle the deck of economic winners and losers. Lastly, let's talk about savers. If you've been diligently putting away a part of your income into a savings account, you might believe you're playing it safe. But in reality, if the inflation rate is higher than the interest rate on your savings, you're actually losing wealth. It's like running on a treadmill that's slowly speeding up. You think you're moving forward, but you're actually just struggling to stay in the same place. Inflation can subtly change the financial landscape in ways we might not immediately notice. So, it's crucial to stay informed and adapt our strategies accordingly. But how does inflation directly impact you and me? This question has probably popped up in your mind as we've navigated the murky waters of inflation. Today, we're going to discuss just that. Inflation, in its simplest form, is the rate at which the general level of prices for goods and services is rising. Now let's bring it home. Imagine walking into your favorite supermarket. You head straight to the cereal aisle only to find that your favorite box of cereal now costs a bit more than it did last month. That's inflation in action. It's a subtle, often unnoticed process, but it chips away at the value of your money, making everything a bit more expensive. Now consider your hard-earned savings. You've been diligently putting away a portion of your income every month, planning for a rainy day or perhaps even retirement. But here's the kicker. As prices rise due to inflation, the purchasing power of your savings diminishes. What you could buy for $100 today, you might not be able to buy tomorrow. In this way, inflation can erode your savings, making future planning a bit more of a challenge. Let's not forget about the housing market. Inflation can cause housing prices to skyrocket, making it increasingly difficult for people to buy homes. And if you're a homeowner, don't celebrate just yet. While the value of your home may increase, so too does the cost of maintaining it. Everything from property taxes to utilities can become more expensive. So what does all this mean? It means that inflation is not just an abstract economic concept discussed in boardrooms or financial news outlets. It's something that affects each and every one of us, from the food we eat to the homes we live in and the money we save. Inflation, then, has a very real and tangible impact on our daily lives and financial future. It's a constant dance of keeping up, making sure our income grows at least as fast as inflation, to maintain our purchasing power and protect our savings. Now that we have demystified inflation and its hidden consequences, what are the key takeaways? Let's circle back to the beginning. Inflation, in essence, is the general increase in prices and the subsequent fall in the purchasing power of your money. It's a common economic phenomenon, often seen as a sign of a growing economy. But there's more to inflation than meets the eye. We've peeled back the layers, exploring the hidden repercussions of inflation. It's not just about dishing out a few extra cents for your morning latte, it's about the subtler, often overlooked effects on your savings, your wages, and even the broader economy. Remember the silent thief analogy? That's inflation for you. Over time, it stealthily erodes the value of your money. That $100 stashed away today won't have the same buying power in the future. This is particularly significant for savers and retirees relying on fixed incomes. Furthermore, inflation can lead to a wage price spiral. As prices increase, workers demand higher wages, which in turn can cause employers to raise prices even further. It's a vicious cycle that can be tough to break. On a grander scale, inflation can impact the economy. It can distort market signals, leading to less than optimal decisions by businesses and consumers. It can also create uncertainty, hindering long-term planning and investment. But it's not all doom and gloom. Understanding inflation can empower you. It can guide your financial decisions, from how much to save and invest, to what kind of mortgage to take out. Inflation is a complex beast, and its impact is far-reaching. But by unraveling its mysteries, we can be better prepared to navigate the financial landscape. Understanding inflation and its hidden consequences is crucial for making informed financial decisions. It's not just about the rising price of your coffee, but about the financial landscape you navigate every day. So, remember, keep an eye on inflation. It's not just an economic indicator, it's a compass for your financial journey.